First, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. This is Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. We appreciate you watching wherever it is. Thanks for doing so. Don't forget to download that Fox 12 Oregon app. We're joining you right now to talk about what is happening with the Oregon legislature and the special session that was called for today. It has to do with transportation funding and the potential to increase costs for a number of different things to make up for an estimated $350 million shortfall for Oregon Department of Transportation funding and several hundred jobs as well that could be lost if this funding is not passed. We want to get to the bottom of all of that and explain this to you because there's been a lot happening down there, or not happening down there at the Capitol today. To talk all about this, joining us right now, we've got our own Spencer Schacht. And Spencer, thank you for being here with us. You know, we've been following along. We had anticipated that a number of these sessions would have already started. It sounds like there's been some delays. I know you've been covering this. Would you mind giving us just a recap of where we're at right now with what's happened previously, I guess, today leading up to this point?
Yeah, Greg, it was a pretty busy morning. There were union protesters out front of the Capitol saying that they wanted this bill to pass because it would secure jobs and would prevent ODOT from cutting any jobs. But then shortly after that protest was happening out front, we heard from Republicans who said that they have a counter proposal where no taxes would be raised, and they want to give ODOT the ability to pull from separate revenue streams all across their budget rather than just rely on the gas tax and other revenues that the governor is proposing to increase. But then, after all that excitement this morning, we've kind of hit a bump in the road, or a full stop. We had the Senate meet on their floor, have their floor hearing this morning. They got the ball rolling, but the transportation bill is actually a House bill, and so we are waiting for the House to convene. But as of right now, they don't have a quorum. They need 40 representatives to be on the House floor and able to do it, but as far as we know, there is one representative who is flying in for this special session. Their flight was delayed, and we are just kind of in a holding pattern until a quorum is reached on the House floor. So it was supposed to originally start at 11, then it got delayed to noon, and then it got delayed to 1, and then at 1 o'clock this afternoon, they came to the House floor and said that they are going to be on standby until 3. So we are hoping that everyone will be able to be here in Salem by 3 o'clock so that they can start this special session and introduce this bill and really get the ball rolling.
So yeah, all of that is required before they even go forward. I mean, that's quite a plane delay for this. You know, hours and hours of what apparently is going on, and that's the representative. I believe it was Valderrama is the representative that they're waiting for.
Yes, it was Representative Valderrama.
Okay, and
yes, it was.
Okay, so and that's who they need apparently to reach that 40. Just to reiterate what you're saying here so I understand. So it really is just, that's the holdup, is what they're saying, is waiting for Valderrama to fly in.
Yep, that's exactly it. We were talking with the public information officer for the House Republicans, and they said that when the special session was called, House Democrats asked them to just provide 4 members. They have their 4 members there, and they said they just don't have the quorum because not everyone on the Democratic side who said they were going to show up has been able to get here just yet. And so, yeah, it is, they confirmed that it was Valderrama's plane that was delayed, and that we are just waiting for that representative to show up and able for a quorum to be held, and that they can get this floor session started.
And so once that happens, you know, assuming Valderrama is able to get here today, they get the quorum, they get the session started, what happens after that point?
Well, it was the governor's kind of pipe dream to get this special session up and running and done within a day, but with all these delays, it does not look like a day is possible anymore. Talking with some other folks about how the legislative session works, or the special session works, if the floor session is able to happen tonight, and they'll introduce this large transportation budget that would have all of the tax increases that the governor asked for. If it passes, then they would go straight into a joint committee of the transportation committee of both House and Senate members. If it passes that committee, then it would have to go back to the House floor and the Senate floor for a first reading and a second reading. And because this morning the Senate tried to pass special session rules, but they weren't able to pass those special session rules, we're still reverted to the old regular session rules. We're going to have multiple readings over multiple days. So the soonest that this could get done, unless they pass a special rule change for this special session, the special session is going to go well into next week, possibly all the way to Wednesday.
This is definitely not the speedy process, it sounds like, that the governor was hoping for, whatever the outcome may be. So we're not going to see a resolution most likely until next week on this, one way or another. So yeah, that's a lot to think about. I mean, just of how long this takes, I guess. And in the meantime, as you mentioned, there's been protesters out there. It looks like maybe, I'm looking just there behind you, looks like maybe some of them have left. I know there were some there on the steps earlier today. Yeah. And we have all of those jobs for ODOT. So when it comes to those jobs and positions that were to be eliminated, should this not happen, will that, do you know if that'll be on hold until this is either passed or not passed, or what happens with them?
My understanding is, yeah, they are not laying off anyone until something happens, or until after this special session. So just to go over what Governor Kotek is asking for, she's asking for a 6-cent per gallon gas tax increase, a $42 increase on base registration fees, $30 surcharge in electrical and high mile per gallon vehicles, $139 increase in title fees, and an increase from 0.1% to 0.2% in the employee payroll tax for public transportation. And now overall, they are hoping that this will raise more than $358 million to kind of fill that gap of what ODOT says they need to keep all these folks employed. So the governor says if we raise all of these taxes, if we raise these fees, that will raise the money to keep these jobs in the Oregon Department of Transportation.
Wow, so that is quite an increase. Have you been able to speak to anybody there, any of the protesters, anybody else that's been just around there on their thoughts on this? I don't know if you've been able to or not. The
only folks who have been made themselves available to talk were House and Senate minority leaders from the Republican Party. They really wanted to talk about how they are proposing a countermeasure that would not raise any taxes. Essentially, the Republican plan is to give the Oregon Department of Transportation more access to different revenue and project funds rather than increasing taxes. In this morning's press release, or in this morning's press conference, they said that they've proposed this bill, but Democrats have said it's a non-starter. They have their plan and that it's going. We tried to get a comment from the Democratic Party this afternoon on their response to essentially being called non-responsive from the Republican Party, and they told us that this plan has to pass this way in order to protect these jobs and to ensure that the roads in Oregon remain safe and maintained.
Wow. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of messy as far as what's going on down there. I mean, a lot of changes, a lot of things, happening once. We're getting some news here too. This is just coming in. It looks like members of the SEIU Local 503 are going to hold a news conference today at 3:30 p.m. on the steps at the back of the Oregon State Capitol. That might be what's right behind you there. I'm not sure if that's the back or not. That is. Okay, so they're at 3:30. They're going to be holding, and I'm just going to read this for everybody who's watching live. I just received this myself. So on the steps at the back of the Oregon State Capitol to respond to the news that the House of Representatives failed to meet quorum to begin voting on a funding package for the Oregon Department of Transportation. Now, from what I understand, that's supposedly going to be happening at 3 o'clock, where they might reconvene. If Valderrama gets in, then they would be able to meet that quorum. I don't know if that means there's some news about that we're waiting to find out, if Valderrama's not going to make it. But anyway, there will be a news conference there right behind you at 3:30 today.
Yep, and like you said, that just came in. I'm looking at that email myself as well. So yeah, this is news to us as well. But yeah, last we heard from both House Republicans and the House Democrats, they are just waiting for that quorum of that one more person to come along so that they can have the House session at 1 o'clock. They said they are at standby until 3, so it seems like we have to wait about 20 more minutes until they'll make another announcement from the House floor on whether they have enough people to convene or if they're going to have to postpone it further.
All right, well, we will follow along. And Spencer, I appreciate your time. I know you've been running all over the place there too, just trying to get this information out, which is a chore, which is difficult to get, during these situations. A lot of things are changing.
It's a pretty big
fast.
building to run around in.
It's a big building to run around. You're getting your steps in. But thank you, Spencer, for doing that. Really appreciate your time on this. And, this is all very important stuff that's happening. And we're trying to get this information out to you as quick as we can. And that's why literally printed off right now. Spencer and I each just received that news from the SEIU Local 503. So that's 3:30. We'll find out more here in about 20 minutes, as you said. Spencer, I'll let you get back to it. Thank you, just for having time to talk to us too and sharing this information of just what it's like out there.
Yes, of course. Thanks for having me, Greg.
And for those watching, I'm going to go ahead and pot Spencer down there. I do have something else I'm going to share with you too. This is from earlier today. We're going to play our package from our reporter Mackenzie, who was down there. But yeah, this is what, to recap, if you're just joining where we're at, we've been waiting on this to find out if this special legislative session would begin. We're waiting on a quorum, which requires a certain number of people. I believe it's 40 members. That has not happened yet. The report is that because Representative Valderrama, which is essentially East Portland, in East Portland area, that's where she represents, Democrat has been delayed by a plane delay, so has not been able to get there to the Capitol yet. And this is a series of delays that have happened over the day. Now, the latest we heard is that at 3 o'clock, we expect to hear something, whether it'll be another delay or whether we'll find out whether they have the quorum or whether something else goes on. But 3 p.m. was the time that we were given to find out more information from the legislative body as far as what's going to happen next. So that's the latest information that we have. We also received word that the SEIU Local 503 is going to hold a news conference at 3:30 p.m. Talking about this, and the entire thing revolves around this funding package to essentially keep ODOT going and, well, not keep ODOT going, but keep 500 jobs in place. And there are a number of different ways that would be going through as far as different raising taxes. So Spencer was saying it'd be a 6% per gallon gas tax increase, a $42 increase in a base registration fee, a $30 surcharge on electric and high mile per gallon vehicles, a $139 increase in title fees, and an increase from 0.1% to 0.2% in the employee payroll tax for public transportation. So that's all in that proposal from Governor Kotek to meet that funding gap, and I believe Spencer just said it was about $358 million. So that's what's at some point going to be debated. Spencer also mentioned that no matter really what happens here today, unless special rules are passed, this is going to go into next week. So we don't expect a full resolution on anything today, but at least some more information here coming up at 3. So before we do that, let me which we've got another 15 minutes or so. Let me go ahead and pull this up, though. So our own reporter Mackenzie was down there earlier today, and this is when those protesters were out there where Spencer was. Let me just go ahead and play this for you so you can see a little bit of what was happening earlier.
Dozens of ODOT workers and union supporters and members rallied on the Capitol steps this morning, signs in hand, urging lawmakers to pass Legislative Concept 2 and avoid nearly 500 layoffs.
Save ODOT jobs! Save ODOT jobs!
This happened as lawmakers discussed the final vote inside. The governor's proposal would raise the gas tax, registration fees, and payroll taxes, a move her office says would cost the average Oregon driver about $66 more per year. That extra cost is aimed at closing a $350 million shortfall at ODOT, which the governor says is necessary to maintain state roads and keep crews employed. Some drivers say it's a price worth paying to keep roads safe and people working.
The work we do is vital to making sure that our kids get to school safe, that we get to our places of worship safe, that our economy moves, that we get to do all the things that we love to do in Oregon. None of that happens without ODOT. And it's really just heartbreaking to see so many people I work with and care about sitting around this existential dread for a couple of months now, really, not knowing whether or not they're going to have a job and be able to pay their bills or their mortgage or support themselves or their families.
But House Republicans aren't sold. Today, they're introducing an alternative plan that they say would preserve those jobs without raising taxes. We'll keep following the latest developments in Salem throughout the day. In Salem, Mackenzie Richmond, Good Day, Oregon.
So there we go. That was Mackenzie Richmond earlier today, just covering what was going on there. And then, of course, we just spoke to Spencer Schacht, who is there now. And we are waiting until that 3 o'clock notification. That's what we were given by the legislature to find out whether they can hold a quorum or not, or whether there's going to be another delay. So that's where we're at. That's about another 15 minutes. So what we're going to do right now is sign off, and we'll regroup and gather as much information as we can to get that to you. And when we get an answer, we'll certainly bring that to you as well as soon as we find out. So that's where we're at right now. If you want to follow up, though, on any of this, because, again, there's a lot of complicated details that go into this. You can go to kptv.com. We've got everything written out for you so you can go through it yourself and understand it a little bit more if you want to do that. Or, like I said, we will be back here once we have more information ourselves. But that's it for right now. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.